When we put out the call for deep dive topics, this one really caught my eye. I mean, everyone wants to know about building an online presence, right? But this story, it's about so much more than just like followers and algorithms and all that.
Right. It's about the human experience, the person behind the screen.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today. The world of Twitch, seen through the journey of one streamer. And let me tell you, it's a wild ride.
Yeah, it can be.
We're talking about that initial thrill of success, Yeah,
the highs are high.
But also the really dark side of online fame, the harassment, the pressure.
The sheer relentlessness of it all.
Yeah. And ultimately, it's a story about resilience, about finding the strength to reclaim your space online. But to really get this, we need to start at the beginning. Picture this. You're passionate about gaming.
Which, let's be real, a lot of us are.
Totally. So you've got this passion, you're good at it, you've put in the hours, and you're thinking, hey, I want to share this with the world.
Makes sense.
And where better to do that than Twitch, right? I mean, it's the platform for gamers, millions of viewers. It's like the dream, right?
It is, in a way.
Yeah.
But it's also incredibly saturated.
Oh, totally.
It's like, imagine trying to stand out in a stadium full of people all wearing the same jersey. It's tough.
Yeah, and that's a good analogy. It really is a double-edged sword, isn't it?
It is. I mean, you have this incredible platform, right? This potential to reach a huge audience. But then you're also competing for attention, not just with other creators, but with the algorithms, with everything else out there.
It's like trying to win a race where the finish line keeps moving, and everyone else got a head start.
Pretty much. And you can't forget, this is their passion. So they're pouring hours into it, honing their craft, building a community around their content, all while trying to please this invisible algorithm.
Oh, yeah. And, in this case, our streamer, they actually started gaining some traction. They hit affiliate status. That's a pretty big deal on Twitch, right?
Huge. I mean, that's the gateway to monetization.
Yeah.
To actually making a living from this. So you hit that milestone, you're naturally ecstatic.
Absolutely. Like you're finally getting somewhere.
Except it's almost like this warning bell goes off, because with that increased visibility comes a whole new level of exposure. And not all of it is good.
Oh, man. Here it comes.
Yeah, because the internet, well, it has a way of attracting a certain type of negativity. And it only takes a few bad actors, a few toxic comments to really overshadow even the most supportive community.
And that's what started happening to our streamer. The more successful they became, the bigger the target on their back.
Sadly, yeah.
We're talking relentless personal attack, like everything from appearance-based insults to just like straight up cruelty, just stuff designed to tear them down.
And it's so important to remember that these aren't just words on a screen,
Right.
These attacks have a very real impact, a tangible impact on the mental and emotional well-being of the person receiving them.
Yeah, it can be incredibly isolating, disheartening, especially when you're putting yourself out there like that. So vulnerable.
Exactly. It's like this constant barrage of negativity 24/7. There's no escape from it.
And as if dealing with the trolls wasn't enough, our streamer then had to deal with Twitch itself.
Or should we say the lack of action from Twitch?
Ouch. Yeah. I mean, that's rough. It's like you're already drowning and then the lifeguard just like shrugs and walks away.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Because, you see, this is where those platform mechanisms, the ones that are supposed to protect users, they can actually backfire.
Oh, wow. How so?
Well, with this constant harassment, right, the trolls, they start weaponizing the reporting system. They flood it with false reports, flagging the streamer's content, trying to get them in trouble.
Wow. So it's like they're gaming the system that's supposed to protect against gaming the system.
Exactly. It's a vicious cycle. And unfortunately, in this case, it worked. The streamer's account was suspended.
You're kidding. So they're being punished for being harassed.
Essentially, yes. Imagine you've poured your heart and soul into building this online community. It's an extension of you.
Right.
And then it's just ripped away. Not because of anything you did, but because of the malicious actions of others. It's devastating.
It's like being falsely accused of a crime, thrown in jail even though you're the victim. That's awful. And I bet that has a chilling effect on other creators too. Like if this can happen to them, it can happen to anyone.
That's the biggest fear, isn't it? It makes you wonder if it's even worth it. It's like, that feeling of being completely betrayed by the one place you thought you could trust.
Man, I can't even imagine. And sadly, it gets even worse, believe it or not.
Oh, no.
So our streamer, they're at this low point, right? Suspended, feeling betrayed. just awful. And that's when, a few people reach out saying they're friends, offering support.
Oh, no, I think I know where this is going.
Yeah. Turns out those friends, not friends at all, they were the trolls all along.
Wow. Just cruel, preying on their vulnerability like that.
Exactly. And the worst part is they manipulated our streamer into sharing some personal pictures.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And then, of course, those pictures, they ended up,
shared publicly.
everywhere, just adding fuel to the fire, making the humiliation even worse.
That's just heartbreaking. I mean, the violation, the feeling of being used, it's awful.
It is. And it's understandable that, after all that, our streamer, they just wanted to disappear, to delete everything and just forget about the internet altogether.
I mean, who could blame them? Who wouldn't want to escape that kind of toxicity?
Right. But here's the thing. They didn't give up.
Really?
Yeah. They took all that pain, all that anger, and they channeled it into something really powerful.
What did they do?
They started a podcast.
A podcast. Wow.
Yeah. They called it the StoryFuel podcast. It's amazing, really. I mean, they could have just walked away, right?
Yeah. I mean, most people probably would. It's hard to come back from something like that.
Totally. But they chose a different path, a path of, I don't know, healing, connection. It's really inspiring.
It is. And the podcast, what's it about?
Well, it started as a way for them to reclaim their voice, to process everything that happened.
That makes sense.
But it quickly became something much bigger. It wasn't just about gaming anymore. It was about the dark side of online fame.
Important topic.
Right.
One we don't talk about enough.
Right. And they were so open about their own experiences, their mental health struggles, all of it. Just being incredibly real,
It's funny, isn't it, how we crave that authenticity, that vulnerability, especially in a world that feels so curated, so fake.
Totally. And I think that's why the StoryFuel podcast resonated with so many people. They were tired of the toxicity, the pressure. They wanted something real, something relatable.
And here was this person who'd been through the ringer, offering a hand of friendship, saying, hey, you're not alone. Powerful.
Yeah. And they didn't just want to share their story. They wanted to build a community.
I love that. A place where people could connect, support each other.
Exactly. A safe space online, free of judgment, the kind of space they wish they had.
And they created it. That's amazing. What kind of community did they end up building? Do they have guests on the podcast?
Oh, yeah. All kinds of people. Other creators who'd been harassed, mental health advocates, experts in, digital well-being, that kind of thing.
Wow. So they really wanted to provide resources, tools for people to navigate these issues.
Oh, absolutely. They even had episodes with practical advice, how to manage online negativity, how to build resilience, how to set boundaries. It was really impressive.
It's like they took this horrible thing that happened and turned it into a force for good, not just for themselves, but for countless others.
It really is remarkable. It gives you hope, right?
It really makes you think, about turning pain into purpose. And get this, they're actually thinking about bringing the StoryFuel podcast back to Twitch.
Whoa, seriously, back to the scene of the crime. That's kind of amazing.
Right. Talk about facing your fears head on. It shows just how determined they are to reclaim that space, to not let the bullies win.
I mean, I get it, but wow, that takes guts. It also makes you wonder, what's Twitch's responsibility in all of this? What are they doing to protect their creators?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's this tricky balance between, freedom of speech and, basic human decency.
Totally. Where do you draw the line? When does free speech become, a weapon to silence others?
Exactly. And it's not just about reacting after the damage is done. Suspending accounts based on false reports, that might seem like a solution, but we see how that can backfire.
Yeah, punishing the victim instead of the perpetrator. Not cool. So what, better moderation tools? Is that the answer?
It's a start. Imagine something that could actually filter out, the really blatant stuff.
Yeah.
The hate speech, the personal attacks, all of it.
Right. Get rid of the worst offenders.
And not just automated tools either. We need real people involved. Moderators who get it. Who can spot those more subtle forms of harassment that a bot might miss.
It's about creating a culture where that kind of behavior just isn't okay.
Exactly. And it's not just on the platforms to figure this out.
Oh, right. We have a role to play too, don't we? As viewers, as a community.
Absolutely. We can't just sit back and be passive observers, scrolling past the hate, pretending it's not happening.
Silence is basically complicity, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But the good news is the opposite is true too. When we speak up, when we report abuse, when we actively support creators who are being targeted, that's when things start to change.
It's about remembering that there's a real person on the other side of the screen. Someone who deserves respect, just like anyone else.
Exactly. And you never know. That person you're attacking, they could be the next big streamer, the next voice that inspires millions, if we just give them the chance.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's think about that, What kind of online world do we want? One that tears people down or one that lifts each other up?
The choice is ours. We all have a part to play.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And on that note, that's a wrap on this deep dive. Until next time, folks, take care and stay curious.